Dwarf Polearms mod spotlight for Total War Warhammer 3. Another DOS Bear mod spotlight. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Polearms mod, which has several different polearm based units for the Dwarf faction. Obviously, it's not lore friendly in Warhammer Fantasy, but it does make common sense to give a longer reaching weapon to people that don't have much reach. And also on top of that, dwarves are strong, so they can handle the weight being at the other end. So it makes really good sense. First up, we have the Dwarf Warriors with spears here. You can see the stats right here, and you can see them in combat. The spear wall formation on these units really makes these tanky. They can take a whole lot of damage, and they just last for a very long time. They do deal pretty good damage, but it's at a really slow rate, so battles just seem to drag on and on and on. As you can see, the melee attack's like 20, but melee defense is 45. The spear wall will increase that even further on melee defense. They're kind of like a rock. I mean, honestly, they're a great frontline holding unit, and that's something the entire mod kind of shares in common except for the cavalry. Our next unit is the Longbeards with spears. These guys are going to be similar to the first unit, except for obviously just a little bit better stats. They're also unbreakable. They have some other abilities that can encourage. They're a really strong unit, to be honest. But they all share very good similarities between each other. It's pretty much just like a standard upgrade across the board as you get to better units. We're now getting to the more elite units, the Iron Breakers with spears. These guys are the tankiest of tank. You can see that armor rating right there. Combine that with the spear wall and then their melee defense, it's just crazy how long these guys last. There can be a clipping issue with this mod whenever the units are too spread out. You'll see this. It's like a just combination of a bunch of men in one spot with spears. You just pretty much just make the width shorter, make them less wide on the formation, and it fixes itself. It's not a big deal. There is some minor clipping in other parts. You'll notice like some random animations and things like that, like some bags getting thrown down. But overall, it's not that distracting. You kind of notice it. Iron Breakers with pole axes. And I've got to say, this is one of my two favorite weapons in this mod. I like this weapon because it's literally like an axe, a hammer, and a spear all in one. I just love that look. I think that's just such an awesome combination. It's one of my favorite weapons of all time just because of its diversity, and I feel like it's very versatile in combat. Obviously, you probably got to be a pretty strong man to be wielding this weapon, but I think it looks amazing. These guys are similar to the Iron Breakers with spears, except they don't last near as well in combat. They're a little bit shorter, but they do more damage. So I mean, they are able to kick out that damage a little bit better than what the spears can. Question for everyone: what's your favorite weapon in history? Like, what weapon do you really think's really cool? Just something that stands out to you? You think is practical? Just what weapon do you like? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget, guys, to smash that like button and subscribe so that you can catch these videos as soon as they come out. And now we have my Longbeards with favorite weapon, which I can't pronounce. Bardish. Anyway, to me, though, it reminds me of a glaive, which I like glaives. Any kind of polearm with a big blade on it, like a sword. So it's almost anything glaive-like, I love. The fact that this has a slashing ability and a stabbing ability, I think it's very versatile. I like this weapon a lot. It's one of my favorite weapons from history, and overall, just my favorite. These guys here, obviously, no shield. They're very focused on offense. They aren't that best of a unit to me. They don't really have that longevity without the shields and everything else, but they do pretty good damage. They're pretty all right. I like the unit in combat. They're just not going to hold as well, but I think they're a great offensive unit for the Dwarf faction. Hammers, the pole hammer. Get your little short hammers out of here. We need hammers as far as my body reaches as a dwarf. These are a great, to me, weapon. They're kind of an odd. I mean, they do melee attack. They do good damage. They do magical damage. They're kind of an odd unit, but I think they're fun to play with. I think it'd be a good thing to spice up any of your armies to have some of these in there. Overall, I just really enjoyed them. But yeah, just a really long hammer, and I like the ones that have the backside where it's actually sharp and pointed, because then you have a blunt weapon and a sharp weapon. I think that's a really cool combination. I would not want a double-sided hammer in combat. I would definitely want something more of a, hammer on one side, something sharp on the other side. We are now in the forbidden realm of dwarf cavalry. These here are the dwarf warriors on goats, so the spear goats. Animation-wise, these guys could all use work on the cavalry front because every time I've watched them, I just see the actual mount fighting. I never see them use their weapons. So, yeah, that's pretty much my one drawback on this, but I do think it's cool that, you know, they actually have cavalry and that got included. Now, albeit, I think these could be done a lot better. This mod's actually, the creator of this mod has kind of left it on the wayside. He's not really updating it. I'm hoping that this gains traction and maybe another modder picks up this mod and starts making it their own and adding to it and making it better. I think it'd be really cool. I know it's not lore friendly, but at the same time, I think that this mod serves a really good purpose. Ironbreakers, Poleaxe, Warboars. Warboars, on the other hand, look awesome. I wasn't a huge fan of the goats, but this Warboar looks sick. On top of that, my favorite weapon again, the Poleaxe. And you just combine that together with this, it's just like a steamroller. I mean, this thing's gonna bulldoze through everything. I just really like this unit. I think it's really cool. Armor's crazy high on this. Actually, they last pretty well. For being a small unit, they last pretty well in a melee. And now we're back to the classic spears. We have Ironbreaker's Spear Warboars. So the only difference was spears here. You also see them have a satchel in their hand. They can throw these explosive satchels as a ranged attack. Now back to the pole hammer. We have the Hammerer's Pole Hammer Warboar. Another shock cav. Obviously, they're going to be swinging these hammer. They deal magical damage. They're all very similar units. And again, the boars do pretty much all the attacking from what I've seen. I didn't really see them ever attack off the mount. And the other glitch on this is whenever they are deceased and they're gone, their dwarf bodies just stand there with their arms spread out and they don't collapse to the ground, which really looks odd, but that's just something I noticed when recording this. And our final unit, the Bear Riders of Dragonhold. These guys are going to be shock cav. There's only 16 of them, but look at these bears. They're massive. Makes the dwarfs look even smaller. They have, again, my favorite weapon up top there, the poleaxe, which the bears can do all the fighting. I like that the bear has double blades on its head and blades on its arms. I think it's kind of a cool look to it. So part of this mod being broken is the fact that there are javelin units in the mod. There's a mounted javelin unit and a land-based javelin unit, and neither one of them work because the animation is broke, so they cannot throw their javelins. So they can only fight pretty much in melee formation, and that's it. So that's the major flaw in this mod. The other flaw is the clipping on animations, and some of the idle animations are kind of wanky looking when you look at them close. But overall, I hope another modder picks this up. I think it's an alright mod. I think it does serve a purpose, which many mods do not serve a purpose. So I think this is a good fit. I wouldn't mind using this or trying it out as a front line. I think defensively, if you're wanting to use a lot of range, I think these are great placeholders for having on defense, for holding your lines. And overall, I give this mod a pretty alright score. I think it's okay. It definitely needs to be taken over by somebody who cares about it and who wants to expand upon it. My question to all of you is, does a mod have to be lore friendly for you to want to play it and enjoy it, or can it simply just be a good mod? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or you want to see more videos in the future with Total War Warhammer 3 or other strategy games, please give me a subscribe, like, and I will catch everyone next time. Thank you so much.